And now, from 12 Studios, this is News 12 Now.
Today is Friday, February 21st. I'm Kylie Dudman, and News 12 Now starts right now. Taking a look at our top story this afternoon, a young girl's death by suicide is under investigation. This comes after alleged bullying from classmates who her mother says threatened to call ICE on her family. News 12's Olivia Thompson sat down with the girl's mother.
On February 3rd, 11-year-old Jocelyn Carranza was found in her Gainesville home in critical condition, according to her mother, Marbella.
I heard that she was taken with no oxygen. She didn't have any oxygen in her brain. It really hit me hard. I didn't have any hope. I didn't know what to think.
Gainesville Police Chief Kevin Phillips says paramedics performed life-saving efforts on Jocelyn before she was airlifted to a DFW Children's Hospital where she died 5 days later. Here at the St. Mary Catholic Church, several gathered to mourn the loss of Jocelyn Carranza and say their final goodbyes on Wednesday. Although she's now been laid to rest, several questions from the family remain.
It's been 2 days since I've spoken to an investigator. They told me they haven't found anything yet. They had an authority open Jocelyn's phone, but they have not had any access to it. They're telling me to hold on, and that the Gainesville ISD police had just closed the case after taking charge of it.
Gainesville ISD said in a statement to News 12 that although specific comments are not allowed due to privacy laws, the district follows strict protocols for investigating allegations of bullying. Marbella says the school shared no reports of her daughter being bullied before she died, and unbeknownst to her,
Jocelyn would go to school counseling every week or so.
Jocelyn attended the Boys and Girls Club of Cook County, where she spent most of her time last summer.
Her light was always shining, and if she ever saw someone else's light start to dim, she was always the first one there to notice and to help and to step in and be supportive.
Jocelyn's friends were able to attend Wednesday's funeral service and make memorabilia in her name afterwards.
I feel for our kids. They have no idea the hurt that they're in for, mourning the loss of their best friend.
Jocelyn's aunt, Martha, created a GoFundMe for the family.
I've been a single mother for 5 years. The money that we are receiving from the community, I'm wanting to use it for my kids and supporting them during this time.
In Gainesville, Olivia Thompson, News 12.
A candlelight prayer vigil will be held at 5 tomorrow evening at the Gainesville Farmers Market to remember and honor Jocelyn Carranza. And another candlelight vigil happening tomorrow, this one in Sherman for Kirsten Dunn. Yesterday marked 1 year since the 21-year-old was found dead. No one has been arrested for her murder. Her vigil will be at Old Settlers Park in Sherman at 5:30. And we have new information about the 2 people who died after a wrong-way crash on Highway 75 in Sherman this morning. It happened just after midnight near East Lambeth Road. Sherman police say 24-year-old Wyatt Gary was going north in the southbound lane and hit an oncoming car. He was pronounced dead at the scene. 66-year-old Teresa Martin was driving the other car. She was flown to a Plano hospital where she was also died. Another Oklahoma prisoner is back in custody. Jody Patterson is back in jail after several days on the run. Patterson walked away from the Waters Community Correction Center in Oklahoma City on Monday. He was captured late last night, still in the OKC metro area. And this is after Hunter Bowers was found last night after having reportedly walked away from the Jackie Brannon Correctional Center in McAllister yesterday.
And we are trying our best this afternoon to warm up, but it's just a slow go out there, primarily due to the cloud cover that it's actually thickened up. But it is at least warmer than yesterday. Still, though, the entire area is below freezing. So we're going on day 3 of this now, pretty much this point. But any sort of improvement is welcome. And yeah, everybody is seeing about 5 to almost 10 degrees in some spots. Warmer temperatures than this time yesterday. The winds have finally changed to out of the south and east, and that's also a nice signal too that a much more milder night is on the way, even though it will be below freezing. But it's a start. And it doesn't feel very good out there, but at least our wind chills are much closer to our actual air temperature. So again, just a few layers needed, but all in all, we're heading in the right direction. Day planner says that we may get above freezing for a little bit, and we may get some sunshine by the time we're starting our weekends, really, but again, it's going to be only for a very short period of time. So if your pipes are frozen or you're hoping for a little bit of thawing action, it's going to take a little bit more time. We'll see more notable thawing, especially by the time we get to Saturday, and really a lot of the extended forecast looking phenomenal for us here in Texoma. So we're going to be talking about all the latest numbers and what you can expect coming up in your full forecast here in just a little bit. Until then, back to you, Kylie.
All right, thank you, Brian. The Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency is expected to turn its focus on the Department of Defense. It comes as at least 10,000 laid-off federal workers received notices of termination over the past week. Natalie Brand has the latest from the White House.
The list of laid-off federal workers continues to grow. At least 10,000 have lost their jobs. That includes more than 6,000 IRS staffers expected to be terminated by the end of the month. Among the thousands of jobs targeted within Health and Human Services, Katie Sandlin, an educator at the National Institutes of Health.
I've worked so hard, and I've just always thought that hard work pays off, you know, and it doesn't feel like that right now.
As workers' unions fight back in court, a judge ruled Thursday the firings can continue for now, saying the challenges have to go through the Federal Labor Relations Authority, which handles disputes between unions and federal agencies.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy.
Elon Musk celebrated efforts to slash government using a chainsaw as a prop at the Conservative Political Action Conference Thursday.
If all the money is just spent on paying interest on debt, there's no money left for anything. Yeah.
But Republican lawmakers are fielding concerns from constituents back at home. Oregon GOP Congressman Cliff Bentz heard from them at his town hall.
And we've been through downsizing before, and you can do it in a way that is humane, yes, and treats people with dignity, and doesn't fire them on the spot.
Data shows the vast majority of the more than 2 million federal workers live outside Washington, D.C. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
President Donald Trump says he plans to talk with China about a plan to broker a sale of TikTok to keep the platform in the U.S. The president issued an executive order to delay a ban on TikTok in the country last month in order for a deal to be made. Trump says he hopes the U.S. can gain 50% ownership in a joint venture of the company. The public spat between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky continues as the war in Ukraine nears its 4th year. As Fox's Caroline Shively reports from Washington, the president is also facing pushback from his own party over his approach to ending the war.
President Trump and the White House pushing hard for an end to the war in Ukraine.
This is the common sense presidency. This is the presidency of peace. He's going to end the war in Europe.
But Mr. Trump is facing criticism for appearing to cozy up to Russian President Vladimir Putin and slamming Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, calling him a dictator.
Every time I say, oh, it's not Russia's fault, I always get slammed by the fake news. But I'm telling you, Biden said the wrong things. Zelensky said the wrong things.
From Friday's cover of the New York Post to senators on Capitol Hill, some are warning against trusting the former KGB operative.
This man is a cancer and the greatest threat to democracy in my lifetime.
He will next turn his sights on NATO allies.
There are also reports the White House is fighting framing Russia as the aggressor in a statement being drafted by G7 nations to mark the 3rd anniversary of the war in Ukraine next week. The Trump administration is also pushing Zelensky to sign an agreement giving the U.S. access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals.
I know there have been some sparks this week, but I suspect we'll move beyond that pretty quickly because President Trump and President Zelensky have the same goal.
European leaders held an emergency meeting on Wednesday to discuss the war. The heads of France and Great Britain are set to come to the U.S. for more discussions next week. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
EU officials are planning a special display of their support for Ukraine to mark the 3rd anniversary of the war. The European Union's top defense official says the bloc plans to send a new aid package to Ukraine to affirm its support for the war-torn nation. Officials have not yet announced what will be included, but have outlined that it will at least involve military support and reconstruction assistance.
Now, we are discussing in Commission among different commissioners and our services about all the possibilities which would allow us in a very urgent way to send very strong message to Ukrainians and to the world that we are standing together with Ukraine.
Top EU officials are set to travel to Kyiv on Monday. The Israeli military says a forensic analysis identified the remains of 2 child hostages released by Hamas this week, but another body returned to Israel was not the boy's mother. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has more.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is vowing revenge after one of 4 bodies handed over by Hamas on Thursday did not match one of the hostages. Israeli officials say they positively confirmed the identities of an 84-year-old man as well as 2 young children. But the remains said to be their mother were that of an unidentified woman from Gaza.
I will not rest until the savages who executed our hostages are brought to justice. They do not deserve to walk this earth. Nothing will stop me.
Hamas released a statement Friday pointing to the possibility of a mix-up of bodies, saying the remains were found in an area they claim Israel had bombed with Palestinians also present. The militant group says it still plans to follow through with the current terms of the ceasefire deal. Another 6 living hostages are expected to be released on Saturday. But the future of the ceasefire is still in doubt. Negotiations have still not officially begun on a second phase of the agreement, which would include the release of remaining hostages and see a withdrawal of Israeli troops from the Gaza Strip.
Those 2 things are on a collision course. They still have thousands of fighters there, and they want to finish that job.
President Trump has called for Palestinians to eventually be resettled outside Gaza, but that idea has been rejected by Arab leaders. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Thank you for watching today's News 12 Now. Make sure to subscribe so you find out why Texoma turns to us. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook, where you'll see more social media exclusive content. Want more News 12 Now? Watch us live every weekday through the KXII app on your phone or TV and through our website.